What happens when an ordinary archaeologist deciphers a warning meant for gods, not humans? As ancient symbols come alive around the world, Emily Wong finds herself facing an invasion from beyond our dimension, and you won't believe what price humanity must pay to survive. In the suffocating heat of an Egyptian summer, archaeologist Emily Wong carefully brushed away centuries of dust from a peculiar stone tablet buried deep within the Valley of the Kings. The air inside the ancient tomb felt heavy, almost sentient, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Her gloved fingers traced the intricate carvings that seemed to pulse faintly under the artificial light, symbols unlike anything documented in any known civilization's records. The discovery came during what should have been a routine excavation of KV-47, the tomb of Sipta. As Emily's team worked methodically through layers of history, something extraordinary emerged from beneath the compacted earth. The artifact radiated an unusual warmth, and when she first touched it, a series of cryptic visions flashed before her eyes, towering obsidian structures reaching into blood-red skies, shadowy figures moving with impossible grace, and a language that twisted and writhed like living serpents. Back at the Cairo Museum's research facility, Emily spent countless nights analyzing the tablet's composition. Standard carbon dating methods yielded bizarre results, suggesting an age far exceeding Earth's known civilizations. The material defied conventional scientific explanation. Neither stone nor metal, it seemed to exist in a state between solid and liquid, shifting imperceptibly under observation. Most disturbing were the microscopic hieroglyphs that rearranged themselves when viewed through polarized lenses, revealing new patterns each time. We've only scratched the surface of this mystery, but trust me, things are about to get much more intense. Stay with us as we delve deeper into Emily's world, where every discovery brings more questions than answers, and the line between science and supernatural begins to blur. As word of the mysterious artifact spread through academic circles, Emily found herself caught in a web of intrigue that extended far beyond Egypt's borders. Mysterious visitors began appearing at the museum after hours, men in expensive suits who claimed to represent various international organizations, all seeking private access to her research. Their questions grew increasingly probing, bordering on threatening, yet none could explain their true interest in the tablet. One particularly unsettling encounter occurred late one evening when Emily was alone in the lab. Security cameras captured nothing, but she distinctly heard whispering voices emanating from the artifact itself. The words, though unintelligible, sent shivers down her spine with their unnatural cadence. When she attempted to record the phenomenon, her equipment malfunctioned spectacularly, leaving behind only static-filled files and burnt-out circuits. Her colleagues noticed changes in her behavior, dark circles under her eyes from sleepless nights, distracted responses during meetings, and an almost obsessive focus on decoding the tablet's secrets. Some suggested she take a break, but Emily couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. The symbols seemed to be changing more rapidly now, and certain combinations appeared to correspond with astronomical events occurring in real time across the globe. Meanwhile, reports of strange phenomena began surfacing worldwide: unexplained power outages near ancient sites, sudden appearances of similar symbols in crop circles across Europe, and eyewitness accounts of shadowy figures observed near archaeological digs. Each report added another piece to the puzzle, yet made the overall picture even more perplexing. We're standing on the brink of revelation here. What's coming next will completely transform everything you think you know about our world's history and its future. You simply can't afford to miss how these events unfold. The whispers from the artifact grew louder, more insistent, as Emily worked through another sleepless night. She had developed a system of documenting the symbol's transformations, capturing thousands of variations that seemed to follow an incomprehensible pattern. Her research assistant, Marcus, had stopped coming to work after witnessing the tablet's surface ripple like water when touched, though Emily suspected his departure had more to do with the dark figures he claimed to have seen outside his apartment. A breakthrough came when she aligned 3 specific symbol sequences with historical astronomical events: the construction of Stonehenge, the fall of the Mayan civilization, and the mysterious disappearance of Easter Island's population. Each event corresponded with what appeared to be warnings in the tablet's language, urgent messages about the shifting ones and their inevitable return. The patterns suggested these occurrences weren't isolated incidents but part of a larger cosmic cycle. Her obsession deepened when she discovered that touching certain symbol combinations triggered vivid hallucinations. These visions showed her standing amidst ruined cities, watching as the sky fractured open and massive black ships descended. The inhabitants moved with fluid grace, their forms constantly shifting between solid and liquid states, communicating through waves of light and sound that resonated in her very bones. Government agents began appearing more frequently, their questions growing increasingly aggressive. They demanded access to her research, hinting at similar discoveries worldwide being classified under national security protocols. When she refused, citing academic freedom, they produced documents suggesting her funding would be cut unless she complied. The pressure mounted as her colleagues distanced themselves, unwilling to risk association with her controversial findings. The situation escalated dramatically when Emily received an anonymous package containing photographs of similar artifacts discovered in Peru, Cambodia, and Turkey. Each image showed local archaeologists displaying items bearing remarkably similar symbols, all taken within weeks of her own discovery. More disturbing were the newspaper clippings documenting the sudden disappearances of those same researchers shortly after their finds became public knowledge. Her investigation led her to Dr. Ahmed Hassan, a retired linguist who had spent decades studying ancient languages. Now living in seclusion outside Cairo, he revealed that he'd been working on deciphering fragments of this mysterious script for years, piecing together references hidden in various mythologies. His translation work suggested the symbols weren't just a language but a form of mathematical equation describing multidimensional spacetime manipulation. Their collaboration took a dangerous turn when armed men stormed Dr. Hassan's home one night. Emily barely escaped through a hidden passage behind bookshelves as gunfire echoed through the house. The old scholar wasn't so fortunate. His body was found the next morning, officially ruled a heart attack despite clear signs of struggle. The incident left Emily shaken but more determined than ever to uncover the truth behind the warnings encoded in the tablet. She began noticing surveillance everywhere, unfamiliar cars parked near her apartment, strange clicking sounds on her phone line, and shadowy figures following her movements through Cairo's crowded streets. Yet each attempt to confront or capture evidence of this surveillance ended in failure, leaving her questioning her own sanity while knowing full well the danger was real. Desperate for allies, Emily reached out to Professor Elena Martinez, a former mentor known for her unorthodox theories about extraterrestrial contact throughout human history. Their meeting at a discreet cafe in Alexandria turned into a marathon session of comparing notes, during which Elena revealed she'd been tracking unusual seismic activity along Earth's major fault lines, patterns that matched the frequency of the artifact's vibrations. Together, they identified 7 key locations worldwide where similar energy signatures had been detected, each corresponding to major archaeological sites. The pattern formed a perfect heptagon around the globe, with the Valley of the Kings at its center. More alarming was the realization that these sites aligned perfectly with ancient prophecies about the end of cycles in multiple civilizations' mythologies. Their research attracted attention from unexpected quarters, independent researchers, conspiracy theorists, and even some rogue government scientists began contacting them with corroborating evidence. A former military intelligence officer provided classified satellite images showing massive underground structures beneath each site, constructed with technology far beyond current human capabilities. As they pieced together this global puzzle, Emily started experiencing physical symptoms, migraines that brought on more intense visions, nosebleeds accompanying particularly strong decoding sessions, and periods of disorientation where time seemed to skip forward. The artifact appeared to be affecting her on a cellular level, rewriting her neural pathways to better comprehend its message. The stakes rose higher when they discovered that several of the key sites were scheduled for demolition or flooding due to various development projects, actions seemingly coordinated by powerful corporations with ties to the same government agencies harassing Emily. The race was on to document and protect these locations before their secrets could be buried forever. The breaking point came during an expedition to Easter Island, where recent excavations had uncovered a network of underground tunnels containing wall carvings identical to those on Emily's tablet. As her team worked to document the site, a massive corporate security force arrived, claiming eminent domain and ordering immediate evacuation. The confrontation turned violent when local workers resisted, resulting in injuries and arrests. In the chaos, Emily and Elena discovered something extraordinary: a chamber containing not just carvings, but preserved organic material bearing the same shifting patterns as the tablet. Laboratory analysis revealed DNA sequences unlike anything in known biological databases, suggesting either extreme genetic engineering or entirely alien biology. The implications sent shockwaves through the scientific community, though mainstream media largely ignored the findings. Their research took an unexpected turn when they cross-referenced the artifact's mathematical patterns with quantum physics equations. The results suggested the symbols described not just communication but actual instructions for manipulating space-time, essentially blueprints for creating wormholes or dimensional portals. Each warning in the text emphasized the dangers of improper activation, speaking of tearing the veil between worlds. Government pressure intensified, culminating in a dramatic raid on their research facility. Emily and Elena narrowly escaped with their data, thanks to a network of sympathetic academics who helped them establish a new base of operations in an abandoned Soviet-era research station in Kazakhstan. There, they continued their work in secret, joined by other scientists who had grown disillusioned with the increasing militarization of archaeological research. The visions intensified, now occurring even without direct contact with the artifact. Emily found herself walking through future versions of Earth, one where crystalline towers pierced red skies, another showing vast oceans covering what were once continents. Each vision carried the same warning: the shifting ones would return, and humanity's survival depended on understanding their language before it was too late. The Kazakhstan facility transformed into a hub of clandestine activity as more researchers joined their cause. Among them was Dr. Viktor Novikov, a former astrophysicist who had lost his position after publishing controversial papers about cyclical extinction events correlating with celestial alignments. His expertise proved invaluable when they discovered that the artifact's symbols responded to specific electromagnetic frequencies matching solar flare patterns. Their work took a dramatic turn when they successfully replicated one of the artifact's energy signatures in controlled conditions. The experiment created a temporary portal that lasted mere seconds but left behind physical evidence, traces of unknown elements and radiation patterns matching those found at documented UFO sighting locations. The success came at a cost. Several team members suffered severe neurological effects from exposure, forcing them to implement stricter safety protocols. Meanwhile, Emily's connection to the artifact deepened to alarming levels. She began experiencing shared visions with others who had prolonged contact with similar objects, synchronized dreams showing detailed schematics of alien technology and glimpses of the shifting one's homeworld. These collective experiences suggested the artifacts were networked somehow, creating a global web of consciousness among those sensitive to their influence. The political situation worsened as world governments moved to classify all related research under international security protocols. Military forces occupied major archaeological sites, ostensibly for preservation purposes, while private corporations secured mining rights to areas rich in the newly discovered elements. Whistleblowers revealed plans for weaponizing the technology, despite clear warnings in the artifact's texts about the dangers of such applications. Amid this escalating tension, Emily received a cryptic message from an anonymous source within the intelligence community, coordinates leading to a hidden repository of similar artifacts beneath the Antarctic ice. The message warned that time was running out, that the Shifting One's return was imminent, and that only complete understanding of their language could prevent catastrophe. The Antarctic expedition became a desperate race against both time and hostile forces. Emily's team fought brutal weather conditions while evading military patrols monitoring the region. Their breakthrough came when they discovered an ancient structure buried deep beneath the ice, a massive dome covered in the now familiar shifting symbols, pulsing with an energy signature stronger than any they'd encountered before. Inside, they found themselves in a chamber containing hundreds of artifacts arranged in precise geometric patterns. Each piece seemed to represent a different aspect of the Shifting One's technology and culture, forming a comprehensive archive of their civilization. The air hummed with power, and the temperature fluctuated wildly as if the room itself were alive and aware of their presence. Their exploration triggered something unprecedented, a holographic interface projected from the central artifact, displaying complex visual narratives about the Shifting One's history. The beings had once visited Earth during previous cycles, leaving behind these repositories of knowledge as both warning and gift. The visions showed their civilization transcending physical form, existing simultaneously across multiple dimensions, yet vulnerable to entities from beyond their reality. As they worked to decode the massive amount of information, the team faced increasing health risks. Prolonged exposure caused severe physical mutations in some members, their cells beginning to exhibit properties similar to the artifacts themselves. Emily watched in horror as colleagues' bodies started shifting between solid and liquid states, mirroring descriptions of the Shifting One's physiology. The military presence above grew more aggressive, deploying ground-penetrating radar and drilling equipment that threatened to compromise the site's structural integrity. With time running out, Emily made a drastic decision to activate the central artifact's main function, believing it might trigger a global awakening of all connected pieces, potentially accelerating humanity's understanding of the impending threat. Activating the central artifact unleashed a cascade of events that rippled across the globe. Every known artifact simultaneously activated, creating a network of energy streams visible from space. Cities built atop ancient sites experienced widespread technological failures as the artifact's fields interfered with modern electronics. People sensitive to the artifact's influence began experiencing synchronized visions, overwhelming emergency services with reports of mass hallucinations. Emily's team struggled to contain the situation as the Antarctic site became increasingly unstable. The central artifact's activation had initiated a countdown sequence, displayed in glowing symbols that even their combined expertise couldn't fully decipher. The timing corresponded with an approaching celestial alignment, the same configuration mentioned in warnings from multiple civilizations' prophecies. Government forces broke through their defenses, demanding immediate shutdown of the site. A tense standoff ensued as Emily argued that deactivating the system mid-process could trigger catastrophic consequences. The military commander received orders directly from the highest levels of international command, revealing a secret protocol called Operation Veil, designed specifically for this scenario: complete destruction of all artifact sites worldwide. Within hours, news broke of similar military actions at every known location. Bombs fell on ancient temples, archaeological digs were sealed with concrete, and entire regions were evacuated under the guise of natural disasters. The global effort to erase evidence of the artifact's existence created chaos, displacing millions and destroying countless historical treasures in the process. As the countdown approached its final hours, Emily's team made a shocking discovery. The activation wasn't just a warning system, but a transformation protocol. The artifacts were designed to help humanity evolve, to prepare them for coexistence with the shifting ones. This revelation forced them to question everything they thought they knew about the nature of the impending visitation and humanity's role in it. The culmination arrived with terrifying clarity as the celestial alignment reached its peak. Across the globe, people gathered in spontaneous demonstrations, drawn by an inexplicable compulsion to converge on ancient sites despite official evacuation orders. Those who had experienced the artifact's influence found themselves physically drawn toward the nearest activation point, their bodies beginning to manifest characteristics described in the warnings. At the Antarctic site, the central artifact opened a massive portal spanning miles across the frozen landscape. Through it emerged the shifting ones, their forms constantly oscillating between solid and liquid states, radiating an aura that bent light itself. They moved with purpose, examining Earth's surface through senses beyond human comprehension, their presence triggering earthquakes and atmospheric disturbances. Emily stood at the nexus of this cosmic event, her body now visibly transformed by prolonged exposure to the artifacts. She served as an intermediary, her neural pathways having adapted to process and transmit the shifting one's complex language. Through her, they communicated their purpose, not conquest, but preservation. The artifacts were tools to elevate humanity's consciousness, to prepare them for integration into a galactic community facing an existential threat from beyond known space. As military forces launched their final assault on remaining artifact sites, the shifting ones demonstrated their capabilities by neutralizing weapons systems worldwide. Not through destruction, but through fundamental alteration, transforming ammunition into harmless dust, redirecting missiles mid-flight, and temporarily disabling all aggressive technology. The display of power was accompanied by a global broadcast in thousands of languages, explaining their mission and humanity's options. The climax reached its peak as Emily made a choice that would alter Earth's destiny. Using her unique connection to the artifacts, she initiated a global consciousness upload, allowing billions to experience the shifting one's perspective, to understand their true nature and the greater cosmic context of their arrival. The moment of truth had arrived, with humanity standing at a crossroads between evolution and extinction. The global consciousness upload triggered unprecedented social upheaval. Billions of people, suddenly aware of humanity's cosmic insignificance and the vastness of interdimensional existence, struggled to process their newfound understanding. Cities descended into chaos as some embraced the transformation while others resisted violently, their minds unable to handle the paradigm shift. Religious institutions fractured, with some leaders embracing the shifting ones as divine messengers, while others condemned them as harbingers of apocalypse. Emily found herself at the center of this maelstrom, her transformed body now serving as a living conduit between species. The shifting one's influence had rewritten her DNA, granting her abilities beyond human comprehension. She could manipulate matter at a molecular level, perceive multiple dimensions simultaneously, and communicate telepathically across vast distances. Yet each new power came with excruciating physical and mental costs, leaving her increasingly alienated from her former human identity. Government resistance crumbled in the face of overwhelming evidence that traditional military force was futile against beings who could rewrite physical laws at will. World leaders convened an emergency summit, broadcast live to billions still struggling to comprehend recent events. Through Emily's translation, the shifting ones revealed their true mission. Earth served as a crucial nexus point in a galactic defense network against an approaching extra-dimensional threat far more dangerous than humanity could imagine. As society began adapting to this new reality, strange phenomena emerged worldwide. People who had been most affected by the artifacts started developing unique abilities, forming communities that operated on principles beyond conventional physics. Entire cities transformed overnight as buildings restructured themselves according to mathematical patterns derived from the artifact's language, creating spaces that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. 3 months after the arrival, Earth's transformation accelerated beyond anyone's predictions. The shifting ones established massive crystalline structures at key planetary nodes, their architecture defying known engineering principles. These monoliths generated energy fields that began terraforming the planet's atmosphere, making it compatible with both species' biology while simultaneously strengthening Earth's dimensional barriers against the impending extra-dimensional invasion. Emily's role evolved into something akin to High Priestess and Chief Diplomat. She coordinated efforts between human governments and the shifting ones, translating not just language but entire conceptual frameworks. Her team worked tirelessly to document the rapid changes, though traditional scientific methods proved inadequate for analyzing phenomena that existed outside conventional space-time parameters. Society split into distinct factions: adaptationists who embraced integration with the shifting one's technology and philosophy, preservationists seeking to maintain traditional human ways of life, and ascensionists who believed humanity should fully transition to non-corporeal existence alongside their alien benefactors. Violent clashes erupted between these groups, exacerbated by rogue military units attempting to capture shifting one's technology for weaponization. The situation grew more complex when children born after the arrival began exhibiting extraordinary abilities from birth. Their DNA showed complete integration of human and shifting one's genetic material, suggesting a new evolutionary path for humanity. These Nexus children could interact with the crystalline structures instinctively, modifying their functions in ways even Emily couldn't comprehend, hinting at an entirely new form of consciousness emerging on Earth. The first warning signs of the extradimensional threat appeared 6 months after initial contact. Space-time anomalies began manifesting near Earth's Lagrange points, regions where gravitational forces created natural equilibrium. Ships sent to investigate returned with crews suffering severe psychological trauma, describing encounters with entities that existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions, their forms too complex for human minds to process without neural damage. Emily discovered that prolonged exposure to these entities' presence caused irreversible changes in quantum states, potentially unraveling matter at fundamental levels. The shifting ones confirmed these beings were advanced scouts for a larger invasion force, entities that consumed dimensionality itself for sustenance, leaving behind regions of absolute void where physics ceased to function. Their approach created ripples through multiple realities, distorting time and probability waves across light years. Humanity's response became a desperate race against an enemy operating on principles beyond conventional warfare. The shifting ones implemented drastic measures, using Earth's crystalline network to create what they called a dimensional quarantine, essentially isolating the planet within its own pocket reality. This process caused global disruptions as continental plates shifted to accommodate new energy flows, triggering massive earthquakes and tsunamis. Meanwhile, Emily's connection to the shifting ones deepened to alarming levels. Her consciousness began splitting between multiple timelines, experiencing thousands of possible futures simultaneously. In some, humanity successfully integrated with their alien allies to repel the invasion. In others, Earth fell to the dimensional predators, reduced to quantum chaos. Each vision left her more disoriented, struggling to maintain her identity across diverging realities. As the dimensional quarantine strengthened, Earth transformed into something unrecognizable. Cities floated above shifting landscapes of pure energy, their inhabitants existing in hybrid states between physical and digital forms. Traditional concepts of nationhood dissolved as humanity adopted collective consciousness models facilitated by shifting one's technology. Resources were allocated based on multidimensional efficiency rather than conventional economics, eliminating scarcity but creating new philosophical dilemmas about individuality and free will. Emily emerged as leader of the Nexus Order, a global organization mediating between human factions and coordinating defense preparations. Her authority stemmed not from political appointment but from her unique position as living bridge between species. Through her, humans learned that the approaching threat represented entropy incarnate beings that fed on collapsing stars and dying universes, drawn to Earth's rapidly evolving dimensional signature like sharks to blood. The final stages of preparation involved implementing something called the Resonance Protocol, a planet-wide synchronization of all conscious beings through the crystalline network. This would allow humanity to operate as a single entity, capable of perceiving and interacting with multiple dimensions simultaneously. However, the process carried significant risks. Those unable to adapt might be permanently trapped in transitional states or lost entirely to the dimensional void. Resistance movements intensified as implementation approached, with various groups protesting what they saw as forced evolution. Some claimed the shifting ones were manipulating humanity for their own purposes, while others argued that abandoning traditional human forms amounted to cultural genocide. Violent confrontations erupted worldwide, complicated by the fact that combatants could now utilize powers far beyond historical warfare capabilities. When the extra-dimensional invasion finally arrived, reality itself bent and twisted under the strain. The entities manifested as cascading waves of antimatter geometry, devouring dimensions whole and leaving behind featureless voids. Earth's defenses, powered by the combined will of two species and billions of transformed humans, formed a multi-layered shield around the planet, a kaleidoscopic barrier that pulsed with every color imaginable and many beyond human perception. Emily stood at the heart of this cosmic battle, her consciousness spread across millions of minds simultaneously. She served as focal point for the Resonance Protocol, channeling humanity's collective will through her connection to the shifting one's network. Each passing moment brought new challenges as the invaders adapted their tactics, probing for weaknesses in the dimensional quarantine. The climax came when the invaders attempted to collapse Earth's moon into a black hole anchor point. The resulting gravitational shockwave threatened to shatter the quarantine field entirely. In a desperate move, Emily initiated Protocol Omega, merging her consciousness fully with the crystalline network to create a feedback loop that amplified humanity's defensive capabilities exponentially. The cost was her remaining humanity. Her physical form dissolved into pure energy, becoming one with the planetary defense system. Against all odds, the combined forces succeeded. The extra-dimensional entities were repelled, their advance halted at the edge of Earth's protected space. As the immediate threat receded, humanity faced a new reality, irrevocably changed, possessing knowledge and abilities far beyond their ancestors' wildest dreams. Earth had become something entirely new, a hybrid world bridging dimensions, home to multiple forms of consciousness evolving together toward an unknown future. The story concludes with Earth's transformation complete, its inhabitants now part of a greater galactic community facing challenges beyond conventional understanding. Humanity's journey had only begun, with infinite possibilities stretching before them like starlight across the cosmos. Remember to subscribe for more thrilling adventures that push the boundaries of imagination and explore humanity's place in an ever-expanding universe.